Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Moving Markets Podcast. It is Tuesday, October the 7th, 2025. The U.S. stock market has been closed for just under 20 minutes. So today I'm actually back on what will more likely be the normal schedule of when I record the podcast. More often than not, it's going to be towards the end of the day when the stock market is closed, but there will certainly be exceptions to that. Look at this, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ finally broke their long win streaks, a little bit of profit taking today, a little bit of calming of the market. You look at this trend that goes all the way back to when we bottomed out in April and headed up. There have been a couple of pullbacks that have been a little bit deeper, 5 out of 7 days, 4 out of 5 days, 5 days in a row. But in every case, it's come back fairly quickly. It's continued a very strong bullish run. And this close to earnings seasons where there is expected to be some good earnings, and I think expectations are not so unrealistically high that companies aren't going to continuously beat. I don't see today as that big of a deal. There might be another day or two with today of a little bit of sell-off. There's some concern. Some of the people that thought the stock market, some people that thought the government shutdown was no big deal because they just kind of assumed that it would resolve itself within a couple, 2-3 days. Well, it's officially entering in, I think as of midnight tonight, it officially enters into its second week. I believe it was midnight Tuesday night 1 week ago that the government officially shut down on the midnight of September 30th. So, now it's tomorrow morning, 12:01 a.m. It enters into its second week. I still think it's not going to be a big deal. I think more people than not still feel like it's not going to be a real big deal. But some of the sell-off today might have been, this little bit of shutdown angst that people are kind of tired of it. I don't think people are real worried about the net impact to the economy as much as they're just kind of tired of the bickering and tired of things not changing. I don't know that it's going to come to a stop anytime soon, or that things are going to open back up anytime soon. Democrats seem really dug in, and that is odd to me because I think they have no leg to stand on. I won't get off on politics again. I did enough of that yesterday, but they act like they're going to dig in hard, and some of them seem to have convinced themselves, or they are knowingly lying, which I think it's more likely the latter, that public sentiment is going to shift somehow against the Republicans. But you've even got some mainstream press outlets that are calling out the Dems and saying, you've said for a decade or more that a clean resolution is the only way to go, and now you're balking at a clean resolution. So I don't think public sentiment is shifting or favoring that party. So if they're really, really dug in, this thing could last for a while. And I've shared my feelings enough yesterday. Part of me hopes it does. Part of me would like to see it stay like this for a long time. But that might be part of the reason why things are down a little bit today. And then it could be nothing more, nothing less. I mean, it might just be a coincidence that we're getting close to the start of the second week of a government shutdown. It could be a coincidence that is happening when there's just a little fatigue after 6-7 trading days in a row of decent upward movement. You look at this 20-day moving average line, and that's a pretty steady line moving to the upside. It only wavers just a tiny little bit, but you look at each day of trading, and there's little pullbacks. There's little short pullbacks that fortunately have been very short-lived each time they've come. So we'll see how that all works out. The only other thing I need to talk about, since we don't have any economic data coming up, I don't even know if we get the FOMC meeting minutes tomorrow. Maybe we do. Maybe that's not something that's affected by the shutdown. We're not going to get jobless claims on Thursday. We're not going to get a consumer sentiment report or a Treasury statement on Friday. So the economic reports of this week are basically meaningless. Earnings season starts in earnest next week. So there's not a lot going on in that respect. I think what will drive the markets for the remainder of this week is if there is a feeling that things are shifting and we're getting closer to the government opening back up, or if this Israel-Palestine thing, that the Hamas negotiations for hostages and ceasefire, I don't want to be overly optimistic because I don't want to be disappointed, but it feels like they're close. It feels like they're on the cusp. They got both sides are together in some resort in Egypt, trying to hash out the details. The fact that they're talking is a good thing. That the fact that Hamas is at least signaling that they're willing to release the remaining hostages is a good thing. Today is the 2-year anniversary of that horrible, awful, disgusting attack by Hamas. No justification for it. Look, I'm not, when I say no justification, I'm not saying that Palestine doesn't have legitimate reasons to have some beef with Israel, and Israel has some very legitimate reasons to have beef with Palestine. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the terror attack had zero justification at all. And I think even though public sentiment has shifted, I kind of still feel like Israel has the upper hand in terms of doing the right thing. That's just my opinion. I know that's a sticky one to talk about, but it was a horrible thing that took place 2 years ago, and it would be really, really nice to see it finally come to a resolution and an end, and get those hostages back and start cleaning things up over there. So if that happened this week, barring something else going on, you could see the markets respond favorably to that. That could be that could be a good thing for the stock market. But the better thing for the stock market would be if the two parties can come together and Democrats could realize there's a better way to go about having this argument about healthcare for illegal aliens. They'll lose the argument no matter when they have it. But if they finally realize there's a better time and a better way to have it than to keep the government shut down and hold the government hostage over it, if we hear news that that's going to wind up and come to an end this week, you could see a big rally before the end of the week. So this morning on Discord, I told everyone that I was trying again to get into the MicroStrategy trade, our strategy incorporated trade that I tried to get into yesterday. And I was successful in getting in. Unfortunately, it was right about the time my trade filled that this thing just absolutely turned upside down on its head. Now, I am not overly worried about not rebounding in the next couple of days. If I'm wrong on that, we'll adjust. I mean, right now I could roll the trade out another week and only add 5 cents to it. So it would not be a hard trade to adjust first thing in the morning. MicroStrategy, I think right after having this big down day, I think in aftermarket trading, it was already back up a little bit. I'm going to see if what I looked at, if I'm remembering it correctly. I think it was already getting a little bit of bounce post market. Yeah, I mean, and truthfully, from now, there's no guarantee this is where it will be tomorrow morning when it opens. But from this point right here, it only needs $10.09 to be in a profitable spot for us, a guaranteed profitable spot for us. And really, it's only got to go up about $8 to get us in a guaranteed break-even spot. That means in 3 days of trading, it would only need to get back a little more than 1/3 of what it gave up today. I don't think that's a big ask. I think it has a pretty good chance of doing that. I don't understand why it sold off the way it did today, except that's where people have a lot of profit. You look at the run that they've had in the last 7 days, and that's eight days, maybe 9 days. That's an even steeper uphill climb than what the S&P did. And so when people start to panic and sell off, they oftentimes take the things they have the most recent profit in. So I'm not too worried about it right now, but I'll worry a little bit tomorrow if it's not moving back to the upside. And we'll make an adjustment to it for those of you that got in. Everything else we've got open, I'm pretty happy with where it's at. We gave up a tiny bit on NVIDIA today. Nike, I'm not overly concerned about. CoreWeave, if you're in any trade on CoreWeave, I don't think most of you are. They gave up a little bit. We got out of Airbnb today, and Amazon was one of the few bright spots. Amazon and Palantir, a couple of the bright spots that were actually up a little bit today. So overall, our profitability is still very high. You can see there that we're looking good on pretty much everything that's on here. And that's basically what I have for you today. So I'll be back on tomorrow, probably right around the close of the market, give or take 30 minutes from the time the market closes. And in the meantime, have a great rest of your Tuesday and a good day tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.